This is Sid and Friends in the morning.
77 WABC.
Of course, it's all politics, and the question is, can it be turned to Trump's advantage? If I'm Trump and his lawyers now, I'm sitting and saying to myself, they're going to try to speed this up and get a verdict before the election. Do I oppose that, or do I support it? Will it help or will it hurt with independent voters if they see this kind of piling on? Look, the day the Supreme Court heard the argument on immunity, remember that Justice Barrett told lawyers for the government, you could easily re-indict him now, just don't charge him with anything presidential. Charge him only with conduct that was not presidential. They could have done it then, 6 months ago, and now they wait till the eve of the election to do it. If I were Trump's lawyers, I'd move to dismiss on the ground of what's called technically in the law laches. That is delay, undue delay. They waited too long to clean up the old indictment. They could have done it literally 5 minutes after the argument in the Supreme Court.
My guy right there, the great Alan Dershowitz, the Rolling Stones. My next guest is a dear friend for over 40 years, the great defense attorney Arthur Aidala. Arthur, what's funny about playing an Alan Dershowitz cut before you come on is he is both your client and your mentor. He is both. Isn't that right?
Yeah, and the reason why I'm not going to be hanging out with you on September 6th, that Friday Night Gala, which I usually attend, Margot invites me personally, which is an honor, is I'm going to see Dershowitz on Martha's Vineyard to celebrate his 86th birthday, that happens on September 1st. And I always make sure I hang out with him. He's such a good guy, man, and he's right on with what he said, except there is not a shot in heck that judge who President Trump is in front of in Washington, D.C., would dismiss the case based on undue delay because she clearly is not, look, the Florida federal judge was clearly leaning in Trump's direction. The Washington, D.C. federal judge makes it very clear she wants nothing to do to help Donald Trump in any way, shape, or form. Judges have a tremendous amount of discretion, meaning they have decisions that's based in the law. It's the discretion of the judge, discretion of the judge, discretion of the judge. And the Washington, D.C. judge is going to use her discretion to hurt Trump any way she can. In a nutshell, none of the charges have been changed against President Trump. In the Washington, D.C., trying to, quote, steal the election case. What they did was they changed some of the evidence so that it does not contain any, quote, unquote, presidential acts.
Right. So at that point, this psycho Jack Smith, who I believe suffers from Trump derangement syndrome maybe more than anybody, if he can prove that these were private acts and not presidential acts, then he thinks he has a case. I think it's ridiculous, but to your point, that's what he's trying to do, yes?
Yes, but what the trial judge has to look at overall, that the overall case is it a presidential act to, quote-unquote, protect the election process? So was Trump acting as the president in saying the election was stolen? There were improprieties here. We need to investigate them. Was he acting in his capacity as the president, or was he acting in his capacity as the candidate? If it's the candidate, he doesn't have immunity. If it's the president, he has immunity. And this judge is going to be the one to have to decide this at this pretrial conference. I believe it's going to be next Thursday, or at least start the process of deciding it. So, look, they're getting what they're trying to do, Sid. Disrupt him, throw him off his game, distract the voters from the good things that Donald Trump has done and could do.
Well, let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there. When you say distract the voters, here's where I'm going to stop you. Because you said they're doing what they want to do. And this is why they're really, really stupid. Because it is clear that with everything they did the last year and a half, we're very smart people, from you to Tacopina to Judge Napolitano. You thought there was a chance he was going to prison, okay? None of that happened. In fact, if the election was today, he's probably going to win. And what we have here is another example where smart folks are going to see what this is, which is piling on. This is why Mark Zuckerberg yesterday all of a sudden wrote a letter to the House Judiciary Committee, because he knows that Trump is going to win. So they are so deathly afraid that Trump is going to win, they're piling on. And I don't think the American public is stupid. They're going to see that. So this is once again very bad strategy by the Democrats.
I think you may be 100% right, but in their mind, the more the Harris Walls people, whatever his name is, because I'm so tired of paying attention to this stuff, the more times they can say criminal, convicted, indicted. Look, everyone's just targeting this sliver of swing voters. And so what they're looking to do is just be able to dirty him, someone who's on the fence, who can't stand either of these people, Trump or Harris. Like, well, you know, what's something negative I could say about Trump? And they're going to just shove that down his throat. Yeah. She's doing her first interview on Thursday night. You should do some wager about how many times they bring up the fact that he's been convicted of a crime.
Well, it's funny you say that, and I don't think this interview is live. I think she's going to tape it. It's not just her. She's doing it with Walls because she's too dumb to do it by herself. I'm saying it, Bill. She's stupid. So I believe they're going to tape it. It's going to be together. They'll air it on CNN tomorrow night. But I've argued with Bill O'Reilly that I do think she's going to go down that road in the debate because what else is she going to do? She's going to say, look, here's the deal. I know guys like you, Trump. I put guys like you away. Dirty, rotten people. That's what I did in California. So you're not going to intimidate me because the truth is you're dirty, you're a convicted felon, and I made a career out of putting bad guys like you away. I really believe she's going to go there. Clearly, so do you.
Why shouldn't she? I mean, let's play devil's advocate. Let's say you're her campaign manager. Like, what do you tell her? You say, listen, Miss Harris, you have to stand out as though you're on the white horse. You're on the side of law and order. Like, take that away from him. Take that argument away from Trump. You're on the side of law and order, and he's the criminal in a time when the cities, the inner cities, are having problems with crime. So you should go out there and put on the white hat.
By the way, that's all she can do, because if you're really paying attention to this race, you would know that all of a sudden now she's for fracking. All of a sudden now she's for building a wall. All of a sudden now she's not about government jobs. Point is, every Trump policy she's adopted over the next 2 weeks, so she clearly can't argue policy with Trump because she's actually adopting all of his.
The bottom line with what Trump has to do, he's got to do two things. He's got to stay away from race and gender as much as he can. He doesn't need that. He's got substance. He's got to talk about what his accomplishments were, what the world looked like, the whole world, not just America, when he was the president of the United States, the stability that was there, that how this country is founded on capitalism and how what he did in a positive way for capitalism, and then talk about the future. He can't just lean on the back. He's going to talk, and this is what I'm going to do. If he stays statesmanlike and presidential, that's the secret. It's no secret. That's what he's got to do. He doesn't need to be the Donald Trump of 2016 on a stage with 18 people where he had to be a tough guy. He needs to be the president of the United States and let her look like a rookie amateur who 6 weeks, 8 weeks ago. So
many of you are going to be so disappointed. You all say the same thing, and that's not him. He will do plenty of that. He'll do plenty of that.
He did it against Biden.
Plenty.
He did it against Biden. He wasn't a punk against Biden. He wasn't a bully against Biden.
But he certainly fought back. He called him the worst president of all time. He made fun of him a couple of times.
Much more substance.
But it's always much more substance. You guys are unfair. You guys characterize this guy like all he talks about are the personal attacks, and that's not the case. The guy goes out there at a rally. He speaks for 30 minutes about substance. Then he calls Kamala stupid, and all I hear about is, all Trump does is talk bad about Kamala. That's just not true. So he is going to do some of that. He is. When she calls him a convicted felon, all these things, he's going to say something bad about her. Get over it. Over it. That's who he is. He's been the same guy for 10 years.
But Sid, the example you just gave is him defending himself. That's different. That's different.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because people have said to me, when he does fight back, he needs to be more laugh it off. Do it like with a sense of humor. That's not Donald Trump. He's been the same guy for 10 years. Same guy. Has he changed?
We are going to look. We are going to see. We're going to see how he conducts himself. I'm glad because last night they said that the September 10th thing is definitely happening. I think that's going to be tremendously in Trump's favor. Number one, he's got an enormous advantage in terms of experience.
Yes.
How many debates has he done now? I mean,
and he's good at it.
Back to all that. Yeah. He's very good at
it.
Well,
one more for you, though. On the way out, I had Joe Tacopina, our colleague and our dear friend, on last week. And this is Arthur Aidala, the great defense attorney, but one of the greatest ever. And I said to Joseph, I said, there's a growing concern from people who actually know and like Donald Trump, not just the presidential candidate, but people who know and like him, that if he does lose this election, that he's going to jail. If he wins, everything basically goes away. He gets rid of all this stuff, they're gone. But if he loses, he's going to jail. Is that somewhat accurate or a bit much?
Now that the Florida case is gone, that was the case I was always worried about. And that's the one that's been dismissed because that was the easiest one to prove. So that's gone. I think that takes that out of the equation, at least for now, although the prosecutor, your boy Jack Smith, is appealing the judge's decision to dismiss it. In terms of the Manhattan case where he was convicted, even if the judge does send him to jail, I think there's or sentences him to jail, 30 days, 90 days, whatever it is, some ceremonial thing. I think there's a high likelihood that one of the judges in the appellate division will grant him what's called bail pending appeal, so you could stay out during the appeal. And even if he loses at the appellate division first department, I think Trump would probably prevail at the highest court of the state of New York, the Court of Appeals, which if you look at the average time, that's 4 years from when you file the appeal. So now Trump will be 82 years old, and who knows what the world will look like. So I don't see him going to jail, but boy, is he a tough guy. There is no human being on the planet that has withstood the attacks that guy has withstood from the day he announced his presidency till today, and is still neck and neck to be the next president of the United States. You cannot discount that. And I don't believe the hype that if Donald Trump comes in, the American democracy is gone. I'm just not believing it.
That's because you're too smart for that, Arthur. Great job. It's great to catch up with you again. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend. Your mom, your dad.
When are you getting $100 million contract from ABC?
Yeah. Now, let me tell you something. My friend Ellen Karras, who's a great comedian, she says, Sid, she just texted me this. If you think Joe Rogan's bad or the Kelsey brothers are bad or Dax Shepard, she goes, there's a 30-year-old kid named Alex Cooper. He just got a $100 million deal with Sirius to do a podcast. So, I don't know. It's a good question, Artie.
Keep playing David Soul, baby. Starsky and Hutch.
Isn't that great?
Bear, baby. Huggy Bear.
Isn't that great, bro? Huggy Bear. That's right. Artie, great job, bro. I love you. Great job. Thank you so much.
Regards to your bride.
Yeah, your family, too. The great Arthur Aidala right there, famed defense attorney and all-around terrific guy. Artie Aidala.